Hello. Welcome to another episode of With Enough Prep Time. And I'm your host, the Nerd Man. And today I wanted to react basically to, this is something that I wanted to do a few weeks ago, honestly. And it's about Ray Fisher and the whole debacle with Warner Brothers and what's been going on with him tweeting out these various accusations against John Berg and Jeff Johns and the director of the Justice League, Joss Whedon. So all through he's been, doing these various tweets, and a bunch of people who are Snyder Cut fans have been supporting him. And I've been on saying, what are you supporting? Because all he's done is the most bland, basic accusations, calling people stuff like abusive, which is a serious allegation, by the way. That's a very, very serious allegation. So accusing people of gross misconduct. So you're thinking, wow, this guy must have, laid into him in some kind of racist assault, or he must have, the mind kind of wonders as to what you could possibly mean by saying gross misconduct, abuse. These are big words. This is like somebody had a fight with you, like someone punched you. I'm imagining it's, gross abuse is like, basically, if you remember what happened with Christian Bale on set, where he was, where he was threatening one of the sound guys. That's gross abuse, right? So I'm wondering what he's talking about. And it's a really, really interesting time to actually compare this. And I swear I was going to do this weeks ago, but I got caught up in the DC fandom thing, and I wanted to celebrate that more and discuss that, and I wanted to discuss other things just kept coming up that edged it out. Even today things came out, like I've got a Mulan review that I want to do. There was another thing, because they're all more important, that's the truth of it. My problem always has been with Ray Fisher, and I'll say this before I kind of react to a few things. My problem always has been with Ray Fisher that why are you doing this by tweets? And if you're going to do it by tweets, you have to give more information. Even if you want to hold some information back for some investigation, you cannot go on Twitter and call out people like Jeff Johns, who I do happen to be a fan of, but if he did something wrong, fuck him. I've done that, I've done that with other people I like. I'll say fuck them for that, right? People like Woody Allen who have been accused of things that he didn't actually do. So I want to make that clear. But I'm a big fan of Woody Allen and what he did by, him marrying his daughter or whatever. Or no, sorry, marrying the daughter of his ex-girlfriend, ex-wife or whatever, who he'd had children with. That was wrong, but it wasn't illegal. Technically, if you look at it, what he did was not illegal, and nothing was given forward to prove that he'd done anything illegal. It was skeezy, it was disgusting, it was horrible, he's an immoral person, but nothing he did in that particular scenario was illegal. Yet people are trying to cancel him for something that they're saying is illegal, which is people are trying to cancel him for something that is illegal, which was some kind of child molestation charge, which again was thrown out by the courts. Now, what I'm saying with that is, my point is that he's my favorite director, Woody Allen. I call him out on the terrible thing that he did. I don't conflate that with the other. It's of court record that they can't, like, at the very least they can't prove it, and at the very most that it looks like he really didn't do it. So put that aside. You go after someone on Twitter, you accuse, so I could go on Twitter today and say, Ray Fisher did some really horrible thing to me, some terrible thing, and say I had millions and millions of followers as well, right? That will mean my millions of followers will go on to Ray Fisher's account and start abusing him and start harassing him and start sending death threats and start, and God forbid some psycho out there really is, some kind of crazy Ray Fisher fan. I don't think there are many out there, but they may actually do some harm to the person he's after. That's why it's so dangerous to accuse someone of something via Twitter, and put it out there and give no evidence for it. I just think that is plain and simple wrong. You either deal with it properly, or you put it all out there so that the person can go and defend themselves, or you put at least what specifically it was so that we can decipher as from the public, is this something that we're truly offended by, or is this something that is just like a tiff at work, like something that's going on between a boss and his and the people he's working something that's going on between an employee and his boss, because hey, I could tell you one thing, my bosses have been majorly abusive to me, majorly abusive. Anyway, there was some breaking news today about this, and I'm going to show a video because I want to compare this, as you can see from the title, of what's been going on with Ray Fisher versus what's been going on with John Boyega. And I wanted to also give a shout out to another person who I think doesn't get enough respect for how he dealt with this, which is Peter Shinkoda. In fact, you know what? I'm going to start it off with Peter Shinkoda. So here's Peter Shinkoda. He is an actor who was on the Netflix show Daredevil. And he was recently on, I think it was Comic-Con or something like that. And he called out the producers of Daredevil for their racism. And he came out straight and said it. He didn't beat about the bush, he said it. And what's more, the evidence of how the show went supported his accusation. Because, let him speak first. Okay, so you saw from that, this is how someone deals with things like an adult. You put it directly out there. You say what happened, and you act like an adult. And furthermore, I would add this. This is what Jeff Loeb said, but he does not deserve to be unduly harassed, other than, hey man, that was a really horrible thing you did. Do you have any response to it? Did you actually say this? Was there any context? Perhaps you were making a risque joke that now you regret, or something like that. So that the person has an opportunity to actually respond to the accusation. How do you respond to someone saying, someone says to me, oh, John Paul, you were gross and you were abusive and you were dismissive of me, but I'm not going to tell you how. How does someone respond to that? And then if somebody's friends are around when you're saying all of this stuff, they start getting at me. Oh, John Paul, da 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 da. And this is how these people do it. And the Snyder fans, and I'm not saying anything about a Snyder cult or whatever, but there are certain Snyder fans. Oh, support Ray Fisher. Why? Why support Ray Fisher? What evidence has he given you? Just because someone's black does not mean they're right and about racism necessarily. A lot of the times they are, and a lot of the times we should be willing to listen. And that is very important, to listen to people who claim to be victims. And if it turns out they actually are victims, to support them. Yes. And even till today, with what I'm saying today, there's still a chance that Ray Fisher could have been a victim of some shit. There's a particular scene in Justice League that really, really bothers me, that I get to thinking in my head of maybe the context of some of the things that Ray Fisher's talking about, which was something like the scene where Flash is asking him to do some kind of he's asking him to daps him, and he makes, and Cyborg doesn't go to give him a daps. And, Flash is saying something like, oh, yeah, that was maybe a little racially insensitive or whatever. It's like, everyone does daps. It's not just black people or white people. Everyone does that, right? So whoever wrote that joke, probably Joss Whedon, I can imagine that kind of thing would get on one's nerves if they're also being cut out of the movie as well, which is, a lot of Justice League was Ray Fisher. And I always say this as well about Ray Fisher. He was the best actor in Justice League. He's the best damn actor in Justice League. And it's a shame. I feel sorry for him. He's worked incredibly hard to get where he is, and he's ruined it in one fell swoop. He's an incredibly talented young man. And he's destroyed his career. I cannot see anyone hiring him in Hollywood anymore unless he has got an absolute smoking gun. So I'm gonna start off with what this is all about, what's come out today. So I told you a little bit about the tweets and the allegations that he made against Warner Brothers, and he made also about Jeff Johns and John Berg, who I do not know. Jeff Johns I'm a huge fan of. I'm not a huge fan of Joss Whedon. I've heard some bad things about Joss Whedon, but to be honest, I looked them up and they're all bullshit. There was one thing that I found on Joss Whedon that is even relevant. One thing, and that was he basically fired a girl for getting pregnant on the set of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That is absolutely outrageous. However, the two apparently have mended ways since then. Should he be cancelled for that? Should he be absolute? I think that's a moment where he should be admonished, and some reflection should be upon his behavior, and having that type of power, and he should be he should be observed so that he cannot wield that kind of power over individuals. There's no way somebody should be fired or written out of a show because they inconveniently got pregnant and that wasn't part of your storyline. That is rubbish. That is absolute garbage, and that's wrong. And I've heard that he can be salty on set. But apart from that, the allegations against Joss Whedon are his wife said he cheated on her. sorry, lady. A lot of people get cheated on. Everyone gets cheated on. He cheated on you a lot. He used you as a shield so that he could carry on his affairs with women. That's what men who are typically not that attractive do when they become wealthy and famous. It's what I would do if I became wealthy and famous. It's hard to resist when you look like Josh Whedon does, and 9 out of 10 women that you ordinarily, or even 8 out of 10, maybe even 7 out of 10s, because if Josh Whedon wasn't famous, maybe he's witty and has a great personality, I'm not sure, but going off just looks, Josh Whedon wasn't famous, he ain't getting women. He ain't getting loads and loads of chicks. If he isn't famous and rich, if he has the same amount of money as, everyone else, he isn't getting loads of chicks. He certainly isn't getting, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, hot chicks. The only reason he will get those chicks is because he's famous. So the fact that he's been starved of that until he made it in show business means that he's going to be one of those guys who's going to be hitting on a lot of women. And you should have realized and looked into yourself, into who you're marrying before you did. About the cheating thing, I'm sorry that happened to her, but that's not a big problem. Third thing that Josh Whedon was accused of was writing a misogynistic script of Wonder Woman. That is it. I am telling you the truth, ladies and gentlemen. I looked into the Josh Whedon allegations, and that is fucking it. Go and look them up yourself. He fired a girl for when she was possibly wrote this girl off while she was pregnant. So wrote her off the show when she got pregnant. Because he didn't like that or something along those lines. Awful, absolutely outrageous. But the girl has since. They've made up something. They've dealt with their problems with each other, and according to what the sources I've seen, they're even quite friendly with each other. I'm not sure if they're friends, but and apparently it was a very high pressure thing because he'd written a whole season, and then found out he had to scrap that because. This girl, the Christina Carpenter, was pregnant. I think that's awful. I don't think there's any defense for that. So if that's what they're going off, then okay, sure. But what they're talking about is a series of abuse. They say that that Josh Whedon was responsible for, and that's all I can find. And so that's the only abuse I can find. Then cheating on his wife and writing a misogynistic script of Wonder Woman. And if anyone knows my channel, you know how protective I am over Wonder Woman and how much I love her as a character. But you cannot cancel somebody for writing a misogynistic script. Has the world gone insane? Are they lunatics? The guy who brought Buffy the Vampire Slayer had a hit or miss script when it comes to Wonder Woman, and you want to cancel him for that. I call BS. And the fact that Ray Fisher said, I believe Josh Whedon's wife's allegations to further throw salt and pepper onto the wounds of Josh Whedon in that situation shows how unprofessional he really is. Because that's bullshit. All you had to do was read into those allegations and see that they held no water. You can't, take someone's career away or say that they did anything really apart from being immoral in terms of their own marriage. You can't take anything away from that person professionally because they cheated on their wife. That is bullshit. There's something Jesus said. I'm not big Christian or religious or anything. Those without sin throw the first stone. We need to really relearn these values in modern day society. It's starting to make me wonder, although I'm not religious, I'm not Christian, it's starting to make me wonder how important, religion is to the moral foundations of how we how we view people, because it seems like the more secular we get, the more individualistic, the more capitalistic we get, the more we stray away from fundamental human truths of empathy and sympathy for individuals, even individuals who have done wrong. I don't believe in death penalty. I don't believe in cancelling people. I don't believe in any of that, because I know people are flawed. So cheating on your wife is not something that Ray Fisher should be tweeting, retweeting, saying this somehow connects to him being gross and abusive in a workplace situation. I'll forgive him maybe because he's very angry at Joss Whedon, and so he just wants to throw everything at him. But the danger in doing that is you get all this, and the Snyder fans are very, very vocal. You get all these Snyder fans coming in, and they'll be like, oh, Josh, to Joss Whedon, abusing him, sending death threats to him. I'm sure he's got all of that. I'm sure Jeff Johns as well. Jeff Johns, who has no allegations against him. I've tried to find anything about Jeff Johns. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. One girl said he flirted with him once a little in a way that made her a little bit uncomfortable. Jeff Johns is an absolute comic book genius, and I just one of my heroes in comic books writing. I think he's so great at what he does. And it's appalling to me for somebody to come and, target an individual like that. Not even saying that he was the one who did the gross and abusive behavior, but that he, what does he say? He enabled it. Right? So, and I'm going to go through this in a little bit more detail, but it's just, I've wanted to get this, as you can see, I've wanted to get this off my chest for quite a while, and I'm on a bit of a roll on this. But, so Jeff Johns, he targets Jeff Johns as well, and I'm sure Jeff Johns has been getting so much hate online, even though he is the single best person in DC. If you want to compare Jeff Johns' contribution to DC movies in general, in comparison with Zack Snyder is trash in comparison to Jeff Johns. I don't care about Green Lantern, okay? He's written the script for Wonder Woman 1984, produced Wonder Woman. It is the writer, behind the great Shazam movie, and wrote the comic book that was based off. He's the writer of the Flashpoint comic, one of the greatest comics. If you look at all of the DC animated universe as well, Jeff Johns' fingerprints on the stories that are, he is one of the greats, the all-time greats of comic book writers, and films are going to be, feeding off Jeff Johns for years to come. So you need to say something really, really good for me to say, hey, I have to turn against you, Jeff Johns. And that's because I think people are innocent until proven guilty. Right? So if you're going to make an allegation, come out, make the allegation. If you've got an investigation going, shut up on Twitter and wait for the investigation to finish. So anyway, that's my point of view on it. Or if you're going to sue and then let the newspapers cover it. Okay, so here we go. So this is what came out today. Justice League investigation. Warner Brothers responds to Ray Fisher's allegations of gross abusive conduct on set. All right. So I'm going to read just the bit that's important. So he said, these are Ray Fisher's tweets. Joss Whedon's on-set treatment of the cast and crew of Justice League was gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable. He was enabled in many ways by Jeff Johns and John Berg. Accountability over entertainment. And I hate all this. What's accountability? I say entertainment over accountability. Thank you very much. Give me entertainment over accountability. Okay? I'd rather be entertained, Ray Fisher. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna say that you can read along with me. So this was his first tweet. Yeah, as I said, you saw the first tweet up there. That Josh Whedon's on-set treatment of the cast and crew of Justice League was gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable. And I want to remind you of the bravery to, like Peter Shinkoda and actors such as John Boyega, who have come out, and I'll talk about them. I might do it in a separate video because of how long this has taken. So I might make this as part one. But John Boyega and Peter Shinkoda, who came out, put their careers on the line, put their money where their mouth is, as they say, and they came out and they said straight up, look, this is what happened to me. This is, and you know, John Boyega especially painted such a great picture of what happened to him, and I'll go into that later. But just to, in short, he used what we can see as an audience so that there was no way that Marvel or Disney could respond with anything, any bullshit. And he showed how he was hired as a token hire. That they hired him because they wanted to fill a quota of black people in this movie. And then they sidelined his character for the rest of the movie. And I'm going to do a separate video on John Boyega because I think that one's important. Because I think what really went on, and this worries me, is that there was supposed to be a relationship between him and the white girl, who I believe his name was Ridley in Star Wars. Him and this white girl. And he received so many racist comments from people, you know, who were upset about him being a stormtrooper, that Disney backed off of the relationship between him and her and decided instead, you know, for her to pursue some weird relationship with the villain of the movie, Adam Driver, where there was some kind of sexual tension between her and him. So that was my thing against that. But I will come back to John Boyega in a bit. I want to deal with this. So today, Ray Fisher sent one more tweet, and I'm going to read this tweet from his own Twitter account. Ray Fisher says, So you can better understand how deep this goes. After speaking out about Justice League, I received a phone call from the president of DC Films wherein he attempted to throw Josh Whedon and John Berg under the bus in hopes that I would relent on Jeff Johns, essentially implying that not only did Jeff Johns and John Berg, you know, he was saying that this conspiracy went up higher. And again, it could be completely true. Everything he's saying could be completely true, that this did happen to him, and that, you know, that in fact, Jeff Johns and this president did do this. But why on Twitter, my man? Have you got a court case? Have you got evidence? Because if you don't have evidence, son, just forget about it. Don't do this on Twitter. You're ruining your career. If you don't have a legal leg to stand on, just, you know, do what most of us do at work when, you know, bosses are abusive to us. And I know we shouldn't take it. It's true. I usually walk out of jobs because of it, actually. But this is the way of the world. You know, there's people with power and the people without. If you know that there's some... And I really do believe Ray Fisher on this, that something happened. That something bad, maybe some racial stuff was said. As I said, that joke enough in the Justice League movie speaks volumes. But again, calling people out on Twitter is not the way to do it. That's my only problem with this. You're calling people out on Twitter. And it looks like you're going after very select people that, you know, that they've got caught up in this whole, you know, ever since the Snyder Cut was said that they're going to release that, they've got caught up in this wave of support for the Snyder Cut, and they're now trying to utilize that to take out people who didn't like Snyder's vision of the DCEU, which is not just people in the studios. It's people out here, people like me. A lot of people didn't like their vision of the DCEU. A lot of people don't even understand why Cyborg was in a Justice League movie. That's stupid. What's Batman gonna do? He's the machine guy. He's the guy with all the weapons and all of that. Why would you have a cyborg character which completely undermines Batman and then makes you into a token character? Because what do you become? You just become Batman's Swiss Army knife. And I don't want to see, you know, when I see a black superhero, I want to see a Black Panther, something children will want to live, you know, grow up to be. I don't want to see a half metal, you know, Frankenstein character standing along these beautiful, elegant, godlike figures of the Justice League. Look at the rest of the Justice League. They're all these beautiful, you know, lovely white-faced characters, and then you have this terribly deformed black person in the side. That's not representing black people in the greatest way in the first place. So nobody wants Cyborg on the bloody Justice League in the first place, right? So that's an immediate L already, having you on the Justice League. Then there's the other crap that you have to deal with Zack Snyder. Wildly weird interpretations of characters, beloved characters like Jonathan Kent, telling Superman it's okay to let children die. People had a problem with it. And maybe you're right. People spoke with their wallets, and and Snyder's vision was having, you know, some commercial success. So in that sense, Warner Brothers was maybe wrong for pulling the plug on it, considering the commercial success it was having. But I really think there was a lot of people who didn't like it, and you were alienating a lot of people, fans of this franchise. So to me, anybody who's watching right now, please do comment. I'm looking at my comment section if you have anything you want to say about this as well. So I can see there's 2 viewers. Yeah, he's a fake victim that needs to go. Right, exactly. And this is what I'm saying. I'm gonna, for the sake of this live stream, anything else you want to ask me, Benson90, please do just write it down. But for the sake of my video, I'm just going to go and read the article, because I want to get through this article that he did. So thanks, man, for the question. Thanks for the comment. Okay, so here we go. So let's look at what Warner Brothers replied to him. So he, 2 weeks ago, he was thanking Warner Brothers for starting an investigation on what had been going on the abuse he had apparently suffered on set. And so this is what he had to say about it. In July, this is what Warner Brothers had to say about this. In July, Ray Fisher's representatives asked DC Films president Walter Hamada to talk to Mr. Fisher about his concerns during the production of Justice League. The two had previously spoken when Mr. Hamada asked him to reprise his role as Cyborg in Warner Brothers. So Mr. Walter Hamada, head of Warner Brothers, wants this guy to reprise his role as Cyborg. Now, if there was some racism going on, or if there was anything going on, because the timing of this is so suspicious. He did this politically. One, he did it, you know, he was dropping all these things before DC fandom and, DC events. So that people like it was hard for Jeff Johns to come on shows and talk about things like Stargirl and whatever he wanted to talk about before the event took place, right? So he did it before then, and so now Walter Hamada is bringing him to the office, talking to him about coming back and doing this Cyborg movie. Doing the Flash movie. If you don't have evidence, if your castmates are not going to back you on anything that happened, your best bet, Ray Fisher, and this is so bad because this guy is an actually talented actor. He's a really talented actor. Best part of Justice League. I'll say it again. He actually surprised me as Cyborg. If you don't have any evidence and you're going up against these powerful people, sometimes you have to know which battles you've lost. And they were going to give you an ability to play Cyborg again, to gain more power, to gain more cachet, to get more roles, to be another, black figure in Hollywood that, young black actors can look up to, young people trying to make it in Hollywood could look up to, and you pull this shit. You're trying to cancel people on Twitter, trying to get Twitter mobs to go after, as I said, again, I'll say it again, and I'll say it 1,000 times. I don't care what the fuck anyone thinks about Zack Snyder. Jeff Johns has done 1,000,000 times more for DC films. I'm talking live action films, and the good ones. So Shazam, Wonder Woman. I presume Wonder Woman 1984 is going to be pretty good as well. Right? He's done a lot for those films. And Snyder was fucking up ever since Man of Steel. He was splitting audiences. You don't want to split your audience. So anyway, let's carry on. So you've got Ray Fisher backing him and trying to cancel Jeff Johns out of DC. It's a bad move. And you can see that Jeff Johns is one of the people who probably would have got a Superman movie out, who probably would have got a Green Lantern thing going by now. If he was head instead of the guy who's head now, he would have got that. He would have had that produced. He would have written it himself. And now we're not going to get all of those things. So anyway, Cyborg in Warner Brothers. The two had previously spoken when Mr. asked him to reprise his role as Cyborg in Warner Brothers' upcoming Flash movie, together with the members of the Justice League. In their July conversation, Mr. Fisher recounted disagreements he'd had with the film's creative team regarding his portrayal of Cyborg, and complained that his suggested script revisions were not adopted. What an L. And the bad thing about this? Usually I'd say, well, there's two sides to every story. Warner Brothers is smart enough that they know if Ray Fisher had anything, or had come to them with anything already, he would have absolutely Ray Fisher could absolutely sue them if he comes back and can prove that any of these things that they're saying in this statement is untrue. He can sue them for slander. He can sue them for ruining destroying his career with other studios. He can sue them for millions upon millions of pounds in a civil suit, or millions upon millions of dollars in a civil suit, if any of these statements that they have made in this tweet happen to be false. So Warner Brothers, this goes without saying, Warner Brothers, this better all be true, because if Ray Fisher can prove any of this wrong, you're liable for millions of dollars because you've destroyed his career. So I'm being fair and balanced on Ray Fisher's side, but I very, very much doubt that Warner Brothers would come out and make a statement knowing that. I'm sure they've got lawyers and everybody who look over this stuff, with a fine tooth comb. So they're really, really going to make sure every single word of this cannot be, made liable or litigated in court in Ray Fisher's favor. So there might be some things that went on in the background, that they're not aware of, or that they can have a plausible deniability to. But every statement in here has been carefully written by them. So let's go. What is he doing? Coming to them as a first time. This is his first movie. Talking about script changes. This better have been some hella. He must have, unless it was some super racist thing that they were expecting him to do. This, because there was one scene in Justice League that I had a big problem with, but it wasn't so bad that you have to go to. It's one of those things you have to suck up, so that you can improve and forward your career, my friend, in the business, so that you can do what you love. And it was the one scene in the graveyard where the Flash was digging up the grave with Cyborg, and he went to daps him, and he said something about it being whether it was racially insensitive. It was a dumb scene and it shouldn't have happened. But anyway, that was one scene where I think maybe he could have gone and voiced some concerns. But if they tell you to do that scene, you do that scene. If they tell you to say booyah, even if I think, that's a kind of little bit of a stereotypical thing for a black guy to say, maybe I don't want to say that, but that's what the character's been saying for years. If you want to change that, if you want to change the context of that, get yourself a Cyborg film by doing what they say, and then you can change up the script. Just Gal Gadot in Batman vs Superman says, Wonder Woman has left humanity for 100 years. She goes to the Wonder Woman movie with Patty Jenkins. She says, nah, I don't think Wonder Woman would say that. From everything I've read and researched on this character, I don't think that's something she would say. That's how you change, what is something that you feel is wrong with the character. You gain power by staying in the game. There are some things that you stand for. And if they've done any of these things to you, Ray Fisher, and you can prove it, this is your time, bro. You have to come out and say it. You have to come out and say it. But apart from that, you do not go up to writers and directors in Hollywood on your first movie and start asking them to change the script for you, bro. And on a major studio picture, not even like an independent movie. This is a major studio picture, $300 million deep, and you're telling them what to do. No. Mr. Hamada explained that creative differences are a normal part of the production process, and that a film's writer-director ultimately has to be in charge of these matters. So what he told him, absolutely true. What are you going to say? Okay, so notably, Mr. Hamada also told Mr. Fisher that he would elevate his concerns to Warner Media so they could conduct an investigation. So all this stuff about gross mistreatment and how abusive and sick Josh Whedon was, and these veiled threats that Jeff Johns was making about him, all of that stuff was, he's never complained to Warner Brothers about this. According to this, the veiled threats that Jeff Johns is supposed to have made, any insinuation, he was insinuating, because this came all around the Black Lives Matter stuff, he was insinuating that, that this was some kind of racially insensitive thing. Warner Brothers is saying he has not reported any of that to them. This is bad. Your career's over, bro. Throw anyone on. So, again, Warner Brothers, so they could conduct an investigation. At no time did Mr. Hamada ever throw anyone under the bus, as Mr. Fisher has falsely claimed, or rendered any judgments about the Justice League production in which Mr. Hamada had no involvement, since filming occurred before Hamada was elevated to his current position. I mean, while Mr. Fisher never alleged any actionable misconduct against him, That's very important. I'll come back to that after I've answered some of your questions for those who are watching the stream. Um, Warner Brothers nonetheless initiated an investigation into the concerns he'd raised about characters' portrayal. Still not satisfied, Mr. Fisher insisted that Warner Brothers hire an independent third-party investigator. This investigation has attempted multiple times to meet with Mr. Fisher to discuss his concerns, but to date, Mr. Fisher has declined to speak to the investigator. Warner Brothers remains committed to accountability and to the well-being of every cast and crew member on each of its productions. It remains committed to investigating any specific and credible allegations of misconduct, which thus far Mr. Fisher has failed to provide. So I'm going to come back to that after I answer a few questions here. So Benson said, he's a proven liar. Did you see what he tweeted about Jodie's Corner? Yeah, I did see what he tweeted about Jodie's Corner. And I absolutely agree for Jodie, going against what he said. He clearly said, yay, for sure. I listened to the recording. I wanted to make a video about this weeks ago, Benson. But it was just, it was really impossible for me to do because every time I wanted to do it, something big came up. Something much bigger than Ray Fisher came up, which was the DC fandom, which I wanted to cover. Some other things, and then I've got my own life, obviously, where I'm busy with my own life. Totally agree. Hate the Snyderverse. Yeah. What? Tell me what you hate about the Snyderverse. Which specific things you hate about the Snyderverse? I have mixed feelings towards the Snyderverse. I did not like Man of Steel. That was the one I really, really didn't like. I think the writing improved on Batman v Superman, but I still think it was a huge betrayal of the characters. I thought it was terribly miscast, to be honest. Everyone knows about the Jesse Eisenberg fiasco. And some may even argue Ben Affleck, but a lot of people are more on Ben Affleck's side these days. And then, of course, there's, the Justice League, which you can't really judge Snyder on. But I am a fan of Snyder's older work. Like, I like the zombie movie he did. And I do really, really like his Watchmen movie. I think that's an absolute masterpiece. But Man of Steel, I think he went completely off the rails. And to be honest, I think he should have been fired after Man of Steel. Or they should have said, look, mate, I think you'd be better at doing a Batman movie. I think that's what you want to do, and I think you'd be better at it. Why don't you sort out the Batman universe? PVS was trash. Justice League trash. Man of Steel, good movie, but trash Superman movie. See, Benson, I don't agree with you on that. I actually think that... okay, yeah, you agree his older movies were good. I don't agree with you on one thing. I don't agree with you on that Man of Steel. I can understand why you think BVS is trash. I would not argue with someone who says BVS is trash. At first, I was defending it a little bit because I do think there were things, it was very beautifully shot, the music was great, there was things I liked about it, how it was discussing some, it was taking a very serious kind of mythological look at the superheroes or whatever. So there were things I liked about it, but I just think the characterization is so off. You've got Batman killing people when you're planning to do clearly what he was planning to do was a Flashpoint movie in future. So you're going to do a killer Batman. So what the hell's Thomas Wayne going to be? Right? If you've already got a killer Batman. It's just crazy to me. You can't, there's no way you can go from that. Yeah, exactly. I said I was fooled by the look of the movie as well. BVS, then I woke up. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I won't defend BVS too hard. There's aspects of BVS I will defend, but I'm not going to defend it so much. But thanks for all your questions. You're keeping the stream alive. I like having conversations with people on this. Let me just read one thing you said earlier. Man of Steel was a good movie, but a trash Superman movie. There I disagree with you on. Because if I go blow for blow, what I dislike about Man of Steel, it has got more plot holes probably than any movie apart from Avengers Endgame. So I put the 2 comic book movies of all time that have the most plot holes in them, which is why I don't get some of the hate against BVS, because BVS, it's more about the characterization of Batman and the characterization of Superman, but the plot holes that you have in Avengers Endgame, I cannot believe it got away with that critically. I can't believe critics could sit there and trash the Snyderverse, as much as I don't like the Snyderverse as you, the same as you, how they can sit there and trash the Snyderverse and watch Avengers Endgame and just give it a pass. I even gave Avengers Infinity War a bit of a pass, even though there were major plot holes in that, leaps of logic. But the thing that I dislike about Man of Steel, and the thing really that I will put the crux of it is, it's not just that what I hate about the Snyderverse, or what I dislike about, I don't hate about the Snyderverse, what I dislike about the Snyderverse, the crux of it is that that none of the characters in Snyder's movies in the DC universe act like normal, intelligent people. It seems like they act like what they need to act like for his plot to move on, right? So big examples. A guy is standing in a city where, people are flying through buildings, right? And buildings are collapsing like 9/11. And he's on the phone to Bruce Wayne and he's saying, Bruce, there's people, the building's going to fall. I think we should get out of here. And Bruce says, get out of here. And that's when it occurs to him to say to everyone, hey, the boss says we should leave. It's like, that's crazy that no one acts like that. They only acted like that for the dramatic purpose that, Snyder was trying to do. And there's a number of things in Man of Steel where people act like that. It's like you come to a world, because he wanted to make the story more complicated, right, in Man of Steel. So they come to a world where Zod and his alien people discover they've got superpowers. What do they want to do? What's their big villain plan? Their big villain plan is they're going to terraform the Earth so that they will make it into a place where they don't have their powers anymore, where the environment robs them of their powers. Wouldn't it have been a better thing if Zod was saying, look, I'm just going to enslave humanity and, and the Kryptons are going to take over. Kryptonians are going to take over because we're more powerful than you. We'll keep the atmosphere as it is. Yeah, I think Krypton was nice. It reminded me a bit of Avatar. So he says, Benson 90, I hear you, man. I can't disagree with you. I just like the tone. And I love the tone of Man of Steel. When people complain about the DCEU being too dark, I think that's absolute bullshit. I loved the tone of Man of Steel. I love taking these characters along a realistic line. I wish they did that with Wonder Woman. To a certain extent, I even wish they did that with Shazam. I wish they did that with a lot of different characters in the DCEU. I think it can be done where you add some kind of psychological realism, the way Nolan did in Batman Begins, to the characters. So I absolutely agree with you. I love the tone. I think the action is spectacular. I love what he was trying to go for in the action in Man of Steel, in the where the camera can hardly keep up with the Kryptonians. They're moving so fast. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Why would you turn it into Krypton and take your powers away? And that, for me, I don't know, maybe for other people, they're more tolerant of these stories, but that ruined Zod for me. I just thought Zod was an idiot. So when people say Zod is the best villain in the DCU, I just am like, really, he wasn't. I mean, nothing he was doing was making sense. And it seemed like that's my problem with Snyder's movies. I think the guy's incredibly talented. I think if you pick the right project for him, he's fantastic. You know, something like Watchmen, something that he has so much reverence for that he won't change it and start trying to add stuff into it. He just clearly doesn't respect Superman and what he's supposed to mean. You know, as a character, Superman, there's a reason Superman doesn't kill. You know, it's not just a matter of, or there's a reason that Superman won't cross various certain moral lines. And there's a mythic story-based reason for that. And that's because he is an aspirational hero, you know, and the aspirational hero, the aspirational hero can be flawed. They can do things that, you know, where they question themselves or something like that. But the one thing they can't do, I think, is once they've set a certain rule for themselves that they will not do, they will not kill, it should be something extreme. It should be really like the third movie or something like that. Once you've established that they don't do certain things, like they won't kill people, that they're forced into it, like right at the end of a series of films about them. That's how I think it should go. Otherwise, what they should always do is they try, you know, what Superman's always done is, like, Lois Lane is over here and the villain is trying to kill Lois Lane. And then on the other hand, he's going to kill the city. And Superman has to choose between the two of them. And Superman, because he's so righteous, he says, no way am I going to let the city die, and no way am I going to let Lois Lane die. I'm going to find a way to do both. And that's what he does. He finds a way to do the impossible, even when he's up against everything. And that's the feeling of hope you get from him. And that was the one other thing, and I'm not going to harp on about Man of Steel unless you want me to talk about it any longer. But the one thing is, the film was about hope. The whole theme of it was about hope. And I felt hopeless at the end of the movie. All of it was jamming into my head. He represents hope. He represents hope. He's going to save the people. He's going to save all the people. And then thousands of people dying. It's just that I felt really empty inside after that movie. But I don't want to go in. One day, hopefully, we'll have a debate. Oh yeah, I was watching that Iron Wolf. Did you see the argument between him and Andy? I was watching JC, Jodie's Corner as well. Iron Wolf. So let me know if you saw the stuff between him and Andy. There's something I wanted to talk to you about that, what your opinion was on that. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about... Has anyone got any questions regarding Ray Fisher? Yeah, you saw it, Benson. That was nuts. I didn't know why they were doing that. Like, I do think, you know, it's good and healthy to have debates with friends. Yeah, it's good to air things out with friends, but I think there's certain kind of issues that they have with communicating with each other that, you know, I see, which is, you know, that Catwoman thing was a fiasco. I think I need to talk about Ray Fisher, but I want to talk to you guys about this as well. Tell me if you want me to talk about this and I'll change the subject. If you actually want me to talk about it, I'll talk about it. But if you've got any questions about Ray Fisher, let me know. Like anything that you wanted me to bring up or talk about in terms of Ray Fisher. But my thing with Ray Fisher is, I feel bad for him because he is such a talented he is such a talented actor, and I think it's a loss for us that he did. Does anyone agree with me that he was the best thing in Justice League? Because I think he was the best actor in Justice League. And then it was a toss up between it was a toss up between him and Gal Gadot. I think they were the best thing in Justice League. I think there's no controversy that at the very least, Gal Gadot, while looking maybe a little bit more fed up than she was in Wonder Woman, and a little bit more lost than she was in Wonder Woman, a little bit less directed in a way that wasn't as great as she was directed in Wonder Woman, but I think she was pretty good. But I think that the rest of the cast was really, really lazy in that. You think they got Superman right? Yeah, okay. Henry Cavill was good in that movie for the last 10 minutes. But I do not like that he was so powerful over the Justice League. I didn't like that he could single-handedly, in the way he did, fight the Justice League, because I didn't think that was good commercially for it. I think Wonder Woman had just made some, been a really big success, and it would be better for them to sell people like the Flash and Wonder Woman and Cyborg even and Aquaman to the people who are watching Justice League, and more of a fight against Superman. Superman could have won in the end, fine, but they should have had more of a battle. It should have been kind of like when the Avengers fought. When the Avengers fought each other. So when Thor fought Iron Man in Avengers 1, right? Everyone knows Thor would beat the shit out of Iron Man in real life, but they gave him a chance because they know that he was a big franchise player. They wanted him, to keep him as his brand up. So they made sure that, that he had a good fight against, against Thor. And I think that should have been the same thing with Wonder Woman and Superman, and especially Flash and Superman, where Flash is supposed to be faster than Superman. I just think they made Superman way too OP in that movie. No, he's not. I'll disagree with you there. There are different interpretations of Superman. Somewhere he's really, really OP, and somewhere he's not. And most of the time, Benson, so you say, I know what you're saying, but at least it was realistic. Superman is that dude, my guy. He is that dude. He is that dude, but he's not, but so is Wonder Woman. Look in the comics, so is Wonder Woman. Most of the time they fought, apart from very sparse few times of writers who don't know Wonder Woman's abilities, Wonder Woman has always given Superman a good fight. And most of the time, when people know Flash, they know he is much, much faster than Superman. Much faster than Superman. It's not even like it before. I think around the mid-90s they made it a little bit more equal with Wally West, but definitely the Flash as of now is like the fastest man alive. He can do shit with speed that no other. Okay, that would be fine, but they should have shown that. So you're saying, yeah, but Wonder Woman was holding back, but they should have shown that better, because she was just made to look like a pussy. They should have shown her like, okay, she's going up to square up against Superman, and she puts her sword down, because she's like, okay, I'm not going to kill this guy, I'm just going to try and fight him, and then they could have had a little bit of a scuffle, kind of like Feora versus Superman, and then finally Superman gets the drop on her. That would have been no problem for me. Yeah, like had a little Feora versus Superman match, and then Superman gets the drop on her, and then you can have Flash do some things, speed around, heat up molecules of something and blow it up. Use his Flash powers, and then finally Superman stamps him. And then Batman could have had the confrontation with Batman. But put it this way, even if you love Superman and you think Superman should win that fight and whatever, commercially speaking, what is the better scene? What is the better film scene? Superman just beating the crap out of the Justice League like they're nothing? Or having a proper superhero fight in a movie? I mean, I'll give you time to answer the question. I didn't take that from it. I took it that he was just beating up the Justice League. She was when she had the lasso of truth. Exactly. Right. So when she had the lasso of truth and she was, pulling him with the lasso of truth, which is magic, by the way. So he should have been compelled to tell the truth. But forget about that. She was pulling it. She was pulling at full strength, and Superman was with one arm and just manhandling them. And then all four of them jumped on him, and he just caught all four of them with his hands, and it was. Dude, if you want to jump on the stream and debate me on this, I have no problem with it. We can jump on a stream and debate this sometime. I do want to go back to the Ray Fisher thing in a bit, but Iron Wolf, why did Jodie keep ranting on so much after Andy apologized like 100 times? Dude, this is what I was saying. I love Jodie, I really do. But if I was there, I would have said to Jodie, basically what you do, you may not realize it, but what you do, and this is something Andy should have brought up. He argues in an annoying way sometimes. He's really good at debating, but he argues in an annoying way sometimes because he'll bring up something completely insignificant. I don't know, man. Like, okay, yeah. But did you see Benson Knightley? Did you see Andy's when they were debating? I don't watch it as much. But did you see when they were debating over whether Catwoman could be played by a black woman or white woman? Whether you can race bend Catwoman? Because to me, here's the thing with me, right? I might have a main view on something, but if I have a main view on, whatever the thing may be, yeah, no problem, Benson. Thanks for all the questions. It's really appreciated. But I'll just say, yeah, exactly. That's that. I think they should have just slept on it. But I'll just say the one thing that I think that Andy is probably getting annoyed at, which I've noticed, is in debates, Jodie does this thing. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for sticking around. Jodie does this one thing that I think it's a really annoying way of debating. He'll be debating something. No problem, Benson, man. No problem, man. Absolutely. I don't even know how to do it yet properly now, so we'll talk to each other. If you subscribe, or write me, even if you don't want to subscribe, just write me. I don't know how to do it. Write me a message when I upload this video. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll message you basically somehow. And then we'll organise something so that we can have a debate about the Justice League fight scene or Man of Steel or whatever you want to debate about in the Snyderverse. I have no problem with that. In fact, I'd enjoy that very much. But Jodie does this thing when he's actually fighting, when he's debating, where he will take something completely irrelevant. Cool. He'll take something completely irrelevant and he'll focus on that and go away from what they were actually discussing. And then, yeah, bro code, yeah, you do talk in private if you've got beef. That's what I think. I don't think you should be on a live stream doing that. But even if you are going to be on a live stream doing it, I guess they got so embroiled in it that they couldn't kind of take themselves out of it. They had to show face, like you know. But I think they're really friends. I think they really, care about each other, and they do great work together, and it's very entertaining when they're on a show together. So I hold nothing against any of them. I just think that their argument today was over something that I've been seeing happening over a few weeks, where Jody does this specific thing and then he starts calling out Andy as a liar, or that he's not telling the truth, and everyone knows Andy's telling the truth, and they're telling Jody, look, no disrespect, but Andy's actually saying what he said is true. It was like he was saying that Andy asked. It was a weird argument. I'll have a dedicated. Basically, as I was saying, they were arguing over whether Catwoman could be played by a black or white woman. I agree that Catwoman isn't a character that race defines her, so I think she can be played by either race. But in any case, Jodie's arguing that because she's historically been white, that she has to be played. Any character that's historically been white has to be played by white actors. You should never change the race. And I say there are certain characters that are defined by their race, and they should never be changed. I don't want to see no black Superman or Chinese Superman, because he's defined by being raised in Kansas. It would make no sense, that an alien shot down who's black comes into this Kansas family, and they just take this black child and they're bringing up a black child. It's the same way with Bruce Wayne. He comes from old money. That old money means that, it will be kind of weird if he's a black guy, because there weren't that many families, in America at that time that come from old money that were black families, because unfortunately there was slavery going on and all of that kind of stuff. So it was pretty much impossible for people to accumulate wealth from property then. So that would take me out of a movie to see a black Superman. However, a black Catwoman, yeah, exactly. Okay, exactly. So exactly what you're saying. My opinion is to be true to the source material, but yeah, the characters can be changed, but the main shit you don't touch. Exactly. All I saw was just both felt comments were being deleted on opposite streams. It's a real shame about Ray Fisher, because he did so good in the movie, I thought. Yeah. I think so as well. I think it's a shame because he's a good actor, that no one can take that away from him. I haven't seen him be a genius yet. I haven't seen him do anything ingenious yet, but he's a very, very good actor. And I think it's incredibly unfortunate that he's done this to his career. Because if he doesn't come back, he needs to come back with an accusation now, because he was trying to friendly up to John Boyega as well. And John Boyega was brave. He said his piece. He showed evidence. He spoke intelligently. He also showed that he was, that he was appreciative of the opportunities that he got, and he acknowledged the struggles of black, or ethnic minorities, not just black, Asians, Latino. He did it all. He did it in such a classy manner that you had to respect him for it, and it's true. He was a token character in that franchise. There is no doubt in my mind he was a token character. And, essentially, he stuck with it and he did his job. Yeah, he stuck with it and he did his job. So I think Ray Fisher comparing himself to tweeting like a little child, like a little teenager, to get support from your friends so that they'll go and bully people online. I think that's outrageous. Somebody with, many viewers could do that to him, and it's just disgraceful. And you see, I was going to show you some, just some of the people who support him. So we've got this stream where it's this guy who, I think he was the guy behind So this is the guy who was behind the Yay Fisher, Gay Fisher kind of comments. And he's done a stream where he's saying, Ray Fisher, is it the same? I stand with Ray Fisher, but I'm not so sure about John Boyega. How can you not stand with John Boyega? Are you trying to say he was given, his character was used correctly in the Star Wars movies? This is how deep the Snyder fans go. That they can't even, that they can see that somebody does it really classy like John Boyega did. Yeah, I know. See, they see someone does it really classy like John Boyega did, and then because that shows up their man Ray Fisher, they start trying to like attack John Boyega essentially for doing the proper thing, which is stand up like a man, or the Marvel guy, the Asian guy, Peter Shinkoda, stood up like a man and called the guy out and said, if you've got anything to say, I've said my piece, come back at me and tell me you didn't say that. And he said that he mentioned all the witnesses, the writers and everything that were involved who saw it. Yeah, Boyega was a great in Attack the Block. So I have mad respect for Peter Shinkoda and John Boyega and how they dealt with racism within the professional world. And the thing about it, as a black, I don't know if any of you people listening are black, or if you're, and I'm sure if you have, or anybody, we've all dealt with bullying and unprofessionalism in the workplace. There has to be a certain degree which we either leave the situation because it's a bad situation for us, or we have a bit of a thick skin so that we can strategize and figure out how to deal with it when we have the ability and power to be able to deal with somebody being bullying or being racist. You can't be a wallflower about these things, about like getting your hairdresser, or don't like you have to be able to suck it up a bit, because we black people, we need to succeed, and we need to get to places so that we can give other ethnic minorities each other opportunities and stuff like that, and tell our stories to the world as well, which are just as important as other stories. So it's so important. There's so little of us in that space with any power. Don't commit career suicide when you've got that ability to actually reach young people, and make a difference in other black. Look at Denzel Washington now. He was the one who actually funded for the Black Panther actor to actually go to drama school. So it's for him that we've got Chadwick Boseman. If Denzel Washington was kicking up a storm, I know Denzel Washington faced racism back when he was younger as an actor. I know for damn sure. In Hollywood at that time, absolutely. But he stuck with it. He had a thick skin, and he was able to give other black people, to pass it on and give other blacks and other people opportunities who probably, not just black people, but other people opportunities who might not be able to afford it or might not be able to do things, And John, this guy's just wasted that. Ray Fisher has wasted that. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I'm from Middlesbrough, near Newcastle. I'm white. Not that it matters. I don't care where people are from, what colour they are. When it comes to movies or hires, etc., hire the best person. I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. But what I'm saying to you is, say you're from near Newcastle, right? I'm the type of person who comes from the kind of place where I have friends from all over, from Newcastle, from all of this kind of thing. Say you're a very talented person from Newcastle, and I'm in a position now where I can hook you up. I know you're fully qualified, but I know some people might look you over for whatever reason. Yeah, that's what you can do when you have a thick skin and you persevere through bullshit. What I'm saying is, people are gonna. There's no way I'm gonna ever go into a job and not face, go into any arena of life and not face a little bit of racism. I have to deal with it. I have to distinguish between the kind of racism that is absolutely intolerable and the kind of racism where, look, I need to get ahead. My boss is being a bit of a dick, but I need to get ahead. Keep my head down. So that when I have a position where I'm training someone, I don't care who it is. Absolutely unracist. No racial bias. And if I see a black person who's coming for a job and a white person who's coming for a job, I'd give the job to the most qualified person. But I'd also ensure that I give opportunities to people who, if somebody, who may not have had the best, opportunity, like say somebody who couldn't afford a suit to come into work or something like that, and they'll be judged for that. I would be the type of person who'd be like, okay, I know what that's like, and I'll give this person a chance. If they're still rubbish, then they're not getting the job. American Gangster Training Day is epic. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But you're right. You shouldn't distinguish on race, but like that. But I'm just saying, there's so few people in Hollywood with power who come from, working class backgrounds, from, like Newcastle working class backgrounds, who come from, it's all nepotism. It's all Hollywood's elites giving their children opportunities and their children's children opportunities and their children's children opportunities. And unfortunately, most of those guys are white, Jewish, etc. So it's overrun by that, and there's no problem with that. But what I'm saying is that when somebody has the opportunity, when someone gets the opportunity to actually make a difference in that world and to reach out to people and make differences in other people's world, why commit career suicide over something so petty as you got cut out of a movie? People get cut out of, at least there are people who completely get cut out of the movie. Not even like, not even just, they cut half your role. There's people who get completely cut out of a movie. And look for instance at Jared Leto, Joker. Cut completely out of the movie. And what did he do? He didn't claim that they were abusive and gross and dismissive to him. He went and he just said, look, straight, I was cut out of this movie and I'm not happy about it. Oh, I thank you. Yeah, no, I'm sick of the media as well. I look up to people's opinions. That's how I stumbled across your channel. Yeah, thanks, man, and thank you. And definitely, we're going to do a live stream together and debate some of these things, because I think you have interesting views that contrast with mine, and I think it would be a good kind of debate. But yeah, I don't know what else was I going to say. So yeah, this guy here, I'm curious as to what he's actually gonna say about John Boyega.
She might come barging in, but I don't.
Let's hear. He's gonna talk about John Boyega here, and I'm curious if he's gonna actually.
He's jealous of my powers. Oh my gosh! But I love Star Wars, and I love the sequels, and I can laugh at the things that
Sure.
I wonder what they're gonna say about this though.
Calling it trash.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be pissed too.
And then Jeff Johns walk up to one of the crew members on set and was like, "Hey, what about that Snyder cut, huh?" like making jokes about the Snyder cut. It's like you.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
I would not.
So you want to cancel him for that? Do you hear that? So basically, they want to cancel him for that. Oh yeah, no. I hope it does the November release as well. So I'm looking forward to the new James Bond film, No Time to Die. I hope it holds November release. So basically, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna look through this video and see what they say about John Boyega and Ray Fisher and see if it's worth reacting to. But otherwise, the No Time to Die. I'm also looking forward to Wonder Woman 84. I want to see Mulan, and I haven't seen Tenet yet because I'm going to review them as well. But and I'm going to finish with this because I guess you guys probably all want to go to sleep as well. But I'm going to finish with this about what you brought up about Andy and Jodie. I do think I really like both guys. I think it was silly of them to do this. I think they just couldn't back out of it. But I do think there's a real problem, a listening problem, as one of you mentioned earlier, with Jodie, and the fact that he doesn't seem to be able to accept, an apology. I don't know what's going on with the thing, and relating it as well to slavery, somebody muting you on YouTube, to slavery, and especially when it's a white person. What has that got to do with anything? If I get muted, I went on Andy's show the other day and I was muted. I actually went on Andy's show and I was muted, when I was talking about something, and I didn't care. That's nothing to do with my race, me being black or white. What's that got to do with it? He muted me because he had something to say on his channel and he wanted to say it and make sure it was clear. Confo. What does confo mean? Star confo. What does that mean, Benson? Let me know. I'm not sure. But I just didn't like that language and him not, just accept an apology. When somebody apologizes to you, they come to you, and really, they're trying to, they're obviously coming a less powerful position and trying to apologize to you, and you keep on going on and on and on, 100 times about it. It was really unnecessary, I thought, and it's not a good way to keep up the relationship. And I don't want them to end that relationship because it's very entertaining for me because their stuff's really funny. Yeah, to be honest, I've always wanted to set up a YouTube channel, so maybe a live stream convo would be a good experience. Hit me up. Yeah, sure will. I will do, Benson. But anyway, that's my final word on all of that. I hope everyone's kind of enjoyed the stream and enjoyed talking and answering questions. Do hit the like. Please do hit the like. I can use as many likes as possible. Also on the channel, I have a number of other videos. Please do have a look and watch the other videos and content I've done. And I look forward to seeing you on another on the next live stream. And I look forward, definitely, Benson, to having that debate with you on Man of Steel. So thanks so much for joining me. And good night, guys. And thanks so much. Thank you, Benson. Good night. And good night. Where are you? Iron Wolf, man. Thanks for the questions.